Welcome in. It's Chicken Dinner Live, episode 003. I'm your host, Sam Panayotovich. What a big show we have today. Thanks for following us on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of this ride since 2016 on Apple, on Spotify, on Twitter. It's just so cool to see that some of you actually still care what I think about betting on sports. So that's, does that feel good? What we're going to do on the show today is we're going to have Jeff Nadu from The Sit Down. That'll be at 7:15. Chris Thurston, host of The Double Down, will join us at 7:30. At 7:45, it'll be Corbie Craig and Gary Segars. Corbie was on last week, the boss at Get Better Odds. And then Gary Segars, the host of Winning Cures Everything. You know the drill here. Every Thursday night on YouTube and on Twitter, we're going to shoot for around this time, basically every single week. And that's basically the plan. 7 o'clock Eastern, leading you up into Thursday night football. And you got a bum of a game tonight, huh? Woof. Total 37.5, 38.5, kind of bouncing back and forth around that all week. Not going to be a fun one, but I do know that we will bet on it. And I can tell you, your angle on the game may change when we get to the bartender, who does have a pick on tonight's game. I was stunned to learn that he is actually involved here after going 0-3 over the weekend, but he is ready. He is ready to fire on Thursday night. Wonder what he's on. Is it a side? Is it a total? As my buddy Alan Berg in Vegas always says, is it a prop? He starts firing props. I don't know that I'll ever know what to do. Oh, that'd be something else. So I also want to get to the morning show, which has been so fun for me so far with Joe Ostrowski. It's just been a treat to work with him. And as we look at the StreamYard setup here, you're looking at the podcast page, BetQL Daily, right here on Odyssey, every morning, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. So much fun. Our crew is awesome. Paul and Jake and Brian and Joe and I are just chopping it up like old times. If you haven't heard the show yet, that's how you listen. It is the BetQL Daily Show on the Odyssey app. So now that I can stop that, I can bring you back in. We'll get to the picks in a second. They've been pretty solid so far, but picks are going to come. Picks are going to go. You're going to win. You're going to lose. I'm always going to be the type of person that will tell you I'm going to lose a lot. I'm going to lose at least 40% of the time. At least that's been the track record the last 5 or 6 years on this program. Picks over the weekend went 4-3, so now 12-7 year to date. 63% up over 4 units. Nice pick, nerd. Every time I lose, it's unquestionably going to happen. It's just going to happen. And we'll get to the picks in a second, but I do want to start with the bartender. 0-3 last Sunday, 1-4 this season. And the record for his life is 81 and 111. 30 games under 500, just over 40%. This is a guy that is so bad at the NFL. It's almost crazy that I don't just bet everything he says and go the other way. He comes Niners on the road, -4.5, outright loss. He comes Indy -2.5 on the road, lose outright to Malik Willis. Malik Willis, nobody wanted to bet Malik Willis. Bartender happens. And then my favorite was the late game. He came Rams +1. Got absolutely murdered by my Arizona Cardinals. So the bartender has a pick. You know what? Forget it. I'm just going to share this right now. Any guesses what it is? I'm going to tweet this out because he did send it to me about 10 minutes ago. The bartender is on the Jets, Jets. That is the pick tonight. If you like the Jets, you're probably terrified all of a sudden. So I'm going to just tweet this out right now live. And the reactions to this are just outstanding on the web. Except for the one guy who said the bid is old, the bid is tired. Dude, if you don't like the bid, just fade the picks. You don't have to, you don't have to love everything that goes on the Twitter feed. You don't have to complain about things. Bill Krakenberger said this the other day. If you can get somebody that's 60% or 40%, you want to utilize that. I don't understand how people don't want to use the bartender, but that is the pick. Pick is in. It is the New York Jets tonight, -6. What could possibly go wrong with the picture of Scatterbrain cookie dough whiskey? All righty. All right. What do we like this week? We have to talk about this Oklahoma State game against Utah. And I'm not going to give the full story because it's not really that important, but I basically got some information. And again, information, happens to come across my desk maybe once a week in college football. Usually, those of you that have followed me for a long time know it tends to involve quarterbacks. So you can connect the dots. I'm not going to say what it is or what the issue is, but it's not that difficult to figure out. This line last night was Utah minus basically 2. As I try and share my screen again. Remember, one-man production here. No switcher, no producer, just your boy. All right, so here it is right here on the screen, on the odds logic board. 379, 380. Last night, Utah is basically, let's call it minus 2. So my guy in Vegas and I decided, all right, we're going to wait until Thursday because we can get bigger limits. We can get bigger limits offshore. We can get bigger limits in Vegas. You can bet more money later in the week. So assuming this tip isn't going to get out, there's no real need to rush. Some people would say, oh, get down as much as you can right away. Yes and no. I mean, it's a complex situation. So he says to me, don't worry about it. We'll get up tomorrow. We'll blast it in the morning. We were going to play 380 Oklahoma State at +2. I go out last night, made the rounds around Boston, met my buddy Jim Murray from 98.5 The Sports Hub, and we're finishing up at this place in Melrose. My phone goes off. It's my buddy in Vegas. Yo, what the fuck? This game is moving. And guess what? Somebody just gave it out. Somebody also got a hold of the information, or I don't know what happened. But I had no idea this was going to move Wednesday night. It starts absolutely flying. Flying. I'm not even home. There's nothing I can do. So now I'm in a restaurant trying to drop everything. Jim and I are saying goodbye. And I'm like, Jim, watch this line go. And it went from Utah -2 to basically a pick 'em within, 10, 15 minutes. And then it gets to -1 Oklahoma State. And now it's 2.5. You have to understand that Cam Rising has been a player as long as he's been in college football. He's been kind of soft. I don't think that's unfair. After 1 year at Texas, he was like, I've had enough. I'm going to transfer. How many injuries has the guy milked? Last year he was supposed to come back after week 5, and then he never played. Now he's got this thing. They called it a hand injury last week. That much is public. I can tell you that much. And the report was that he will likely return against Oklahoma State. We'll see. That's all I'm going to say. But I was going to tweet out +2 Thursday morning, and then all of a sudden it starts going, somebody gets a hold of the information and decides to send it out as a paid pick. You just ruined everything. We could have all done this tomorrow on Thursday. We could have all had a piece of the pie. But some guys want to prove that they got information. They want to prove it to their clients. None of you are my clients. You're my listeners. You're my friends. I have nothing to gain monetarily unless you buy some merchandise from the Chicken Dinner store you can find on Teespring. Link in the bio. But look at this line. I mean, now you're at Oklahoma State, 2.5. And at this point, if you think Cam Rising is going to play, you could get off it. You could, if it gets to 3, now you're holding +1.5, +2, and +3. The game lands 1. You hit the nuts. We still don't know. And I was texting with some guys last night that are very plugged in. And, one of the guys works with Spanky's crew. And he's like, I don't know what the true number is with Rising in. Because this opened at circa Oklahoma State -1.5. And then I believe it was RAS released Utah. So the favorite flips. So then Utah obviously starts building. The true line with Rising in is probably a pick 'em. Oklahoma State won. But if he's out, it's an impossible number because you just don't know. If he plays, is he ready to go? Can he do everything he needs to do on a field? I don't know. But if he can't go, this number, say they rule him out, which is possible. I'm not saying he's in or he's out. The market is telling you what's up. If he gets ruled out on Friday or Saturday, I would imagine this is going to go, I'm going to guess 4. If not, it's hard to picture it going much past 4, because then you're going to have guys come in and take Utah +4. I know some guys that would take +4 because they're holding Oklahoma State +2, and now they can get Utah +4, and they're in heaven with that possibility of landing in the middle. So look, obviously something's up. You guys know what's going on. I'm not going to burn my sources. When a guy says don't say anything, you're not going to say anything. As I laugh, Segars goes to -2.5 right now, -110. That's funny. But that's the game right there. Utah, Oklahoma State. That's the game in question. That's the game of the week in terms of the betting movement and the unknown. You're also never going to hear anything from Kyle Whittingham at Utah. He's never going to say Cam's in or Cam's out. He doesn't talk. There was a press conference on Monday. The first question was not, how's Cam doing? It was like, oh, how about Utah? Like, I don't understand how nothing ever gets out of Utah. It's like Fort Knox. But good on them. We will see exactly what's going to happen. Let me blow through these picks here that I have. Gave you Oklahoma State +1.5. That was last night. And then I like North Carolina -10.5 against James Madison. Really powerful running game for the Heels. And I like Madison. Very good team. Different competition, though. I mean, they played Gardner-Webb last week. North Carolina's been running for 250, 300 yards a game. Really good offensive line. They've got good backs. They made the quarterback change after Max Johnson got hurt. So I laid 10.5. I made this game 15. So I've got, North Carolina like 11 points better on a neutral. Add in the home field. I got it 4. So we're 15. Oklahoma, this is not going to be popular. You're probably going to hate it, but it is what it is. Took 7, even money. Wanted to take 7.5 early in the week. I just couldn't. I couldn't get there because you see a number 7.5 and your numbers are so off. You go, what am I missing? So finally, got a couple nights of sleep. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's take Oklahoma. They haven't been this big of a dog since 1998 at home. You almost have to do what you have to do at this point. And this is the first road start for Nico at Tennessee. I like Tennessee. It's not that I hate Tennessee, although some Rocky Top message board got a hold of me the other day. Oh, look at this 4 eyes, never played football. Okay, whatever. Good point. I think it's too many points. Like, I think Tennessee should be a 2-point favorite, 2.5-point favorite. My numbers could be wrong. My numbers are wrong a lot. Again, guys that do this, that say they're never wrong, are full of shit. But more times than not, I think Oklahoma is going to keep this competitive. Really good defense. We'll see what Jackson Arnold can do. That's the guy. If you really think about Jackson Arnold, he was supposed to be the thing in Norman. Hasn't been great so far, but would it surprise anybody if he played well in this one? This was the guy that chased Dylan Gabriel out of Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Oregon. This kid's the next thing. So maybe we can bottle some of that and take the points. And I don't need to win the game. I just need to cover 7. Like Baylor +2. We'll talk to CT Betts about that in about 15 minutes. He's high on Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback who came in to replace DeQuan Finn. So we took 2 there. And then the NFL plays, I'll just spray these quickly. We'll talk more about these throughout the show. Love the Vikings +2. Yay, the Texans are 2-0. They beat Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams. Yay. Ravens -1. Lamar Jackson has not been great, but John Harbaugh has been outstanding in this role. Up against it, backs against the wall, and on the road, the guy is a wizard. John Harbaugh's record, ATS, 31-15 in his last 46 games on the road. ATS. 31-15. Pretty good. I see my guy, Jeff Nadu, hanging out. Get to him in just a second. And then the other 2, Arizona +3. I'm high on Arizona. Love their offense. That Rams win, a little deceiving because the Rams suck. But I don't know. Detroit, weird things happen when teams go really far and then slip on the banana peel. Go to the NFC Championship game, had a huge lead. They blow it. Now the coach is doing fake punts inside his own 5. Things tend to go weird. And that guy is he's a gambler, which I like gamblers, but buddy, you don't got to gamble that early in the season and show your whole deck. And then I'm going to go Commanders on Monday night. Huge number, 7.5. There'll be a lot of this. Bengals can't go 0-3. Bengals blowout. Bengals against the Commanders secondary. All right. I'm going to take the points. These big dogs have been hitting like 80%. Now, that's not sustainable, and that's not why I played. I think this number's too much. If it was sub 7, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it's 7.5. There's an 8, couple 8s actually in the market. I think you should take a long, hard look at a Washington team that is actually healthier than Cincinnati, that has a quarterback that can do basically anything. Backdoor probably never closes, ideally, in this game. So those are the plays. Again, on the season, chicken dinner. 12 wins, 7 losses, 63%, and up 4.3 units. I like how I say tree there, don't you, Jeff Nadu, as I add you to the stage? That's a Chicago thing when you say tree. Eddie Olczyk on the broadcast used to always say tree, turdy, tree, left in the turd. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a Chicago accent for you. What's the Philly accent? What is it right
now? 3, like you would say 3.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's really an accent, but it's funny you say it like that because I interviewed a guy once, John Murgis. He was a bookmaker for the Chicago Outfit years ago. He's a Vegas guy now. He said tree, I feel like. I remember. That's a great accent out there. Big fan of it.
Tree, turdy, tree. Jeff, of course, the host of the Sit Down Pod, the place to get anything Mafia related. You know me, I'm a big Mafia guy. I love the background. I've seen every movie, and Jeff does a tremendous job with that show. The Sit Down.
It's funny?
What's that?
It's funny you brought that up. Goodfellas debuted in 1990 today.
Really?
34 years ago, yeah. In theaters. Yeah.
All right, so I want to start here. You've been on my show many times. I don't ask you, hey, let's pick this game, or what are your thoughts on this game? I talk to issues that you want to talk to, and I bring up things that you're close to. And I think we have to start in your backyard with the Eagles. I don't know what happened Monday night. They have a 99% chance basically to win that football game. They blow it. Sirianni had an awful night, and now they go on the road, and now they're in that role where they're, catching basically 3. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but it was like 2.5. Here we go. You got some 3s. You got a 3 at South Point. You got a 3 at BetMGM, title sponsored of BetQL Daily, by the way. A 3 at Circa, a 3 at Buckeye offshore. You got plenty of 2.5, but you got a lot of 3 here. Am I silly for thinking Eagles are a good bet at +3?
No, I bet it yesterday. I don't bet early in the week a lot of the time. I mean, it's just not something I'm really doing. Look, the issue that we have here, Sam, is that Nick Sirianni, we constantly are saying he looked really bad from a coaching standpoint. I look at him at this point and I say, what does he actually do on the sidelines? He can't, make decisions as far as taking points when he should. He doesn't successfully a lot of the time challenge. He doesn't call plays. His defense is a disaster, particularly up front. I don't know why they didn't fire him. I wanted them to fire him last year. They decided to give him another year, and we see already. Sam, notice the other night they lost by 1 point. Remember they passed up a field goal? And again, you have Jake Elliott. It was automatic. What they end up losing by 1. We have to also give Howie Roseman some stick here because he's credited as being a great GM, and he is. But this defensive line is the worst in the NFL. It's that simple. The edges are a complete disaster. You let Hassan Reddick walk. Bryce Hall, or what's his name?
Bryce Huff. Yeah,
Huff. Yeah.
Did he even play Monday? Where was he?
No, he did.
I know, but I mean, he was not even noticeable.
No, and that's the story with this group. You have Josh Sweat, who hasn't had a sack in like 6 years. Brandon Graham's 37 years old. They let Derek Barnett walk, and by the way, he had a sack last week for Houston. They're no pass rushers. Nolan Smith from Georgia has been a complete disaster. You look at Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. These guys have disappeared as well. Then you see them laughing on the sidelines after the game. They're a mess up front. They can't blitz. Vic Fangio doesn't blitz it. It is just a mess. That said, I mean, is there any team better to kind of go against right now than the Saints? I mean, they've done nothing wrong. What have they scored? 95 points in 2 games. This number opened Eagles as a favorite. I don't know I'm sure you're aware of that.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And now all of a sudden it's 3. That's a crazy move to me. And what do we remember? What do we know about the NFL, Sam? It's always, what did we last see? Last thing we saw was the Eagles are an embarrassment. But remember, if you just run the ball there, you win the game. Saquon Barkley catches that 99 out of 100 times. They won game 1. The Saints have completely overachieved. You know it, and I know it. Derek Carr's Derek Carr. I'll gladly take 3 here. And look, I'll fade the Eagles when I can, but I'll gladly jump on them here.
I just couldn't believe, and we'll move on from this Philly thing. I couldn't believe he kicked the field goal to go up 6. And
Yeah,
guys will say, well, it makes you score a touchdown. Well, yeah, it also makes you fucking urgent. If they're up 3, Atlanta's probably playing for a tie.
Let me ask you something.
But you're up 6. Now Atlanta's got to go for 7 and beat you.
Right. And remember, this is the same team that has perfected the brotherly shove play. It's 3rd and 3. You quite possibly get 3 yards with that brotherly shove because it was that good that night. And let's say you don't get it and it's 4th and 1. Do it again. And then they burn 40 seconds of the clock because they don't have any timeouts. That said, if you do let them have the football, Sam, when has the prevent defense ever worked?
It works in Madden. It works in Madden, right?
Of course it does. But in real life, it never works. It is a playing to lose situation. And you look, Kirk Cousins, he might not be, the greatest quarterback in the world, but I mean, he destroyed them in that final drive. And then Darius Slay gets punked on that final play too. Yikes.
Yeah, tough. Summer number, by the way, at the Superbook in Vegas, Philadelphia -3. Now Philadelphia +3. So a 6-point move. To Jeff's point, if you're buying and selling stocks, you kind of don't want to buy New Orleans now. You probably should have bought.
But it's funny. A lot of gamblers on Sunday will give out New Orleans -3.5. That's how bad some of these people are. They bet the worst numbers possible. Also, if the Eagles win the other night, what's this number?
I mean, 1 maybe.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not one of these like, well, they could, they didn't win. You're right. But I thought they were better in the game.
I was going to ask if you had any action tonight, but, a good interviewer reacts to his guest. And you kind of alluded to some of the people we know in the space that would rob from your grandmother, right? If they needed the money. And,
they'd rob from their own mother.
Yeah. It's just,
and
given bad numbers and given numbers that don't exist. And, I had, unfortunately I had some information yesterday that I was sitting on, and I told very few people about it.
I heard that.
I was told to tell very few people. And then you see it gets sold, Jeff. Like, not only was the information not protected and kept quiet, it gets sold to clients. And like, that would never be me. Like, I'm going to tweet it when I'm ready, and I'm going to let my following now. Chicken Dinner has almost 9,000 followers. I'm going to give it to you for free. I'm not going to sell it to you for $99 or whatever. It just, it blows my mind. And that's the difference between, guys that want you to win and guys that are trying to take advantage of a mark. And there's a lot of that in this space. And I think the more aware we are about it, the better off we are as an ecosystem, because there's a lot of garbage out there. And, I don't want to name names, but there's a lot of bad content, and there's a lot of really bad business going on in the betting space, and people are getting taken advantage of.
I think one of the reasons you're significantly more famous than me in this space is you won't out them. I will. Right. I couldn't give a shit about anybody. If you're a scumbag, I'm going to talk about, I talk about scumbags every day, and they all want me dead too. So I don't worry about it. But what it does is it doesn't want big companies don't want to work with someone like myself. So, but yeah, no, the content's horrific. I mean, you're one of the very few that does a good job. And it's hard to do this. It's not easy to pick games and give them out for free. You don't get a lot out of that. Right. But you do a nice job, and there are some other few that do a nice job. But yeah, it's a space that is really diluted at this point. And I kind of gave up a long time ago pursuing this as like something where I wanted to be a famous content creator doing sports betting, because there's a lot of things I'm not, and I don't want to be.
Well, when I was younger, I wanted to have a newspaper column, and then when I was about 10, I wanted to host a radio show. Newspapers are dead. Right. Yeah. And radio is, radio's alive, but it's not what it was. So do I want to have an Instagram? No, but they told me, hey, get an Instagram. They asked me, can you get a TikTok? I said, no, I draw the line.
Well, see,
I draw the line.
Explain, though. I used to be like you. And then when I was at Barstool, one of the guys said to me, he goes, why aren't you putting these stories on TikTok? You'd kill it. And I'm like, all right, teach me how to do it. I did it. A year and a half later, I'm at 205,000 followers. I make money off it now. So it's like, I get what you're saying. And people always say to me, why don't you write a book about all the stuff you've done in the mob genre? And I'm like, nobody reads books. I'll just do a podcast, But yeah, I think you have to go with the times. Instagram, TikTok. This is how it goes, I guess.
There you go. It's on the screen
Very
right
nice.
now. If you're watching on YouTube and Twitter, the Sit Down with Jeff Nadu, a crime history podcast. And, it's all right there. Jeff dives in, all these stories, all these videos. I love the content. It's very unique, and you're a unique guy. And it's funny. I mentioned that you were going to come on the show earlier today, and there's still that wave of people that's like, oh, why would you put Nadu on your show? First of all, Jeff is a very good guy. Second of all, he knows his shit. He's sharp. He keeps to himself. He doesn't talk behind people's backs. I don't understand why, like, a guy like you gets like the unwanted, like guys that don't know you for some reason feel like they know you. And I never really understood that.
Well, I've noticed
it's always fascinating.
I've been doing this since 2010. I was on Twitter back when gambling Twitter was the greatest place to be in the world. And in all the years of doing this, the mob stuff, I've never had a negative interaction in person ever. I think a lot of the time people live through other people. They kind of say, well, why can't I do that? Or why is he doing it and I can't? And again, I always say, I think most people would trade their life with me. I'm pretty blessed to be able to create content and decide what I want to do every day. Start new things. So I'm happy with what I've been able to do. It's not easy. And you're always going to have detractors, but I feel like, Sam, I'd rather be the guy that people either love or hate. I don't want to be the guy that people just don't give a shit about, like I want you to kind of know me a little bit, but I have also made some enemies and that's fair. But hey, if you're a scumbag, I'm going to treat you like one. So it's pretty simple. I heard you giving out picks, and Sam, Army this week.
Yeah.
I'm a military school maven. I love the military schools. Rice is not a good football team, right? They got blown out by Sam Houston, got blown out last week against Houston, gave up like 250 on the ground. What does Army do best? Run the football. I love those 12 noon games in West Point. You can kind of just batter a team on the ground. EJ Warner has not looked like the same quarterback since going to Rice, coming over from the Temple Owls. This one's up to 7 at some books. I played 6, but as you are posting there, a lot of books, even Vegas and offshore, both flashing 7s up now. I don't think 6 is going to be around much longer.
Yeah, you ain't lying. In this open 5, this is the odds logic screen, which I think you should really check out if you're looking to get a better idea of the market. See these red squares right here? I'm not talking to you, Jeff. I know you know how to read the screen. I'm just talking to the people. This is a recent move. So I have everything color coded. So when this goes red right here, that's basically an instantaneous move. There's another one right here, 3.5. So that one's climbing from 3.5 to 4. And then, I have it color coded by minutes. I think I have like 1 minute, 4 minutes, and then 7 minutes plus. So, I mean, Pinnacle already at 7. Pinnacle to me is the end all be all for sharp information. Pinnacle and Chris, and they are both at 7. There's Pinnacle right there, 7 minus 104. And then
I wanted to ask you. You mentioned Carolina and James Madison. I played under 48. I didn't see a real reason to want to get in on an over there. I thought Carolina, for as good as they've been over the years, I don't think this is an elite offense. I think JMU will put up something against that run. And JMU, I mean, this group has really struggled to score. I thought that was like a 24-10 type of game. I was surprised to see 48s out there, even 48.5s.
I believe I got it 28-13. I don't have that in front of me, but I know I've got Carolina 15 points better. So that's why I laid the 10.5. But I believe my score was 28-13, which would be
fine by me.
Maybe I should take some under too, huh? I mean, that's not even.
Yeah, I would have put this at more like 44-45. I think JMU put up what? I think 13 points last week against a FCS team, Gardner-Webb. Look, they moved the ball against Charlotte, but I think me, you, and 9 listeners can do that. Only give up 7 points. This is a good UNC offense, but they don't have Max Johnson anymore. Hampton's a good running back, but look, I think they'll probably touch maybe 30, but I don't think JMU does.
I see my buddy Chris Thurston in the chat, and I know you're a busy guy, Jeff. So let's spend a couple more minutes together. You got any action tonight on the game, Thursday night?
I thought about over in the South Alabama game a little bit. It's kind of ticked up, though. Both those teams play really fast. 2 good quarterbacks on both sides. I've been a big South Alabama over fan over the years when they had Carter Bradley. Now they have Gio Reyna. I mean, we know what they did last week. Now, again, this isn't Northwestern State, but these two teams both very fast, top 20 in plays per game. Neither are particularly strong defensively. I'd kind of viewed App State as a bad defensive group. We saw them give up. I mean, listen, Sam, you can't give up 66 to Clemson. I mean, I could understand Tennessee, but Clemson? Yeah, all right. I leaned over here. As far as the NFL, I'm not a big better of Thursday night. I think it's a game in which very few players actually want to play. They don't care much about it. The fact that you mentioned your pal is on the Jets, I actually lean Patriots, so. But I will say, there's a guy I used to work with at Barstool. He's very similar from a mush standpoint. And every time I see, you know what he's on this week in college football? Throw this out. He loves Arizona State, Texas Tech over. Going to be 30-mile-an-hour winds in Lubbock. So, look, while Texas Tech can't defend anybody, I'm not really looking at Arizona State as a defense that I think really destroys them that much. So, that game fell on an edge last week. That Arizona State game was really high scoring in the first half and just tailed off in the second. So, the mush likes the under in that game. My mush. So, or over. So.
I actually thought about you. I don't want to be ripping shots my whole show, but I've got the chicken dinner. Well, it's not chicken dinner. It's a chicken decanter. And then I went ahead and went into the vault and got the Bugsy Siegel.
Oh, I love glass. That. Oh,
Isn't that
awesome.
Great? Yeah, I got like 6 different guys. I got Luciano, Lansky, Bugsy. Like, it's the whole collection. So I brought this literally for you. And,
well, I'm going to give you a trivia question relating to that. Do you know that absolutely no one ever called Charlie Luciano Lucky Luciano? It's completely fake.
And
no one's ever called him.
If they did, they got in trouble, right?
No, they would do it like behind his back, but no one would ever call him
to his face. Right. Nobody had the balls to do it to his face.
His name was Charlie Lucky, like always. That was his nickname from when they were kids. And for whatever reason, Lucky Luciano just stuck. Weird. What's in that little thing there? Is that whiskey?
This is Gentleman Jack. You know what? Okay. I gotta pour one since you're here. I'm gonna
have a shot.
They told me, like, be careful with the drinking on the show. And I'm like, look, I'm drinking waters. This is my first rec. I know CT Betts is on deck with a Viva Seltzer, so we can all enjoy this.
Shout out to Viva Seltzer. I work with one of their people, Drew Martin. He's a good man. Shout out.
Let's bring CT in right now as he joins the party. Chris Thurston, my buddy out here in Boston, and you can now hear him as the host of the Double Down. So, CT.
Oh, I think I got into it with this guy over do you remember that? Was that you, CT Betts? I got into it with about Georgia Tech, Florida State. Was that you?
Nope, that was my idiot buddy that lives in my town who Sam knows, Joey Cheese.
Oh, is that who? I forget who it was. But
you and I have been cordial ever since this whole thing started.
Because we were talking about it, and he was insisting, like, I said, dude, let me ask you, Florida State's being destroyed in the market, yet the number's going down. That doesn't bother you a little bit? And he's like, no, it doesn't bother. I said, okay, bro. It doesn't work like that, but all right.
He is always like so confident. And then like the gay, like it's almost like, and Chris, you could vouch, and I like the guy. He's got a personality.
Oh, yeah. Like I will say, I think we might be getting the wrong. I'm pretty sure the guy's name is C something. I could have sworn.
I remember you arguing with somebody before that. You're talking about the game in
London or Dublin. Yeah,
I almost said London as well.
Yeah.
Dublin. Right.
Yeah.
I remember you arguing with somebody, and it was popping up on my thing. I can't remember
how was that. It wasn't a sharp guy.
I was on Florida State, but I wasn't arguing with you about the game.
Yeah, the guy just couldn't. He made a weird point, but I forget who it was. Either way, didn't work out for him very well.
Yeah.
By the way, how are they a favorite this week? Do you see that?
Florida
How are they
State?
a favorite to anybody, Florida State?
2.5 only. That's it.
I mean, I get it's Cal, but should they be a favorite against Elon? I mean, for God's sake.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still, and I'm with you. I've gotten burned on this team the last 3 weeks in a row, and somehow I might be brain dead myself, Jeff. I keep going back to them, but at the end of the day, it's still 4 and 5 star recruits.
That's what I always want to think.
I mean, like it's just, and now you're getting such a discount because Norvell is brain dead the past 3 weeks, or he might be brain dead overall. I mean, but it's just I keep beating myself over the head with this team. It's my own fault.
Well, look, I'll let you guys go. Sam, thanks for having me. I wish you luck with Florida State, my man, if you're going to bet them again. Cheers to you. Salud. Thanks for having me, my man. Good luck, guys.
Of course. That's Chef Nadu, host of The Sit Down. Appreciate him setting the table tonight. And now we put my guy, CT Bets, on screen right. I have to do this shot, I guess, because he made me. And if I don't do it now, I will be called a coward on the internet, which is a regularity in my life now. As I do this, you and I were both pretty lockstep on, the rumor wins about Oklahoma State and Utah. And, you pounded it too last night. I wish some of these guys would wait and we could get more money down. You and I do some business together. One of the guys doesn't take more than $500 on Wednesday, and his limits go to 5,000 on Friday. So the longer we can sit on something like this, the better it is. But when you got guys that they ruin the board on a Wednesday, it really pisses me off.
Yeah, it's not fun for anybody. And especially, you and I were talking the past couple of days, and we both said that we don't care. We liked Oklahoma State regardless of what was going to happen, or, who's going to play, who's not going to play, whatever it is. We both like the Pokes, right? Stillwater's a really tough place to play, Sam, as you know. And Utah, they weren't in the Big 12, a year or so ago. So this is unfamiliar territory for the Utes, and not only unfamiliar territory. And I don't mean to go off on this game, but it's like, okay, now you're not used to playing in Stillwater or the Big 12. Now you have to play a Pokes team, Sam, who hasn't been able to get Uncle Ollie going on the ground all year long behind one of the most experienced offensive lines in college football. They've been able to stop him, but then they're having Bowman beat him in the air, which he's been able to do with the veteran wide receivers. I'm intrigued to see what the coach Kyle Whittingham does, who I have the utmost respect for. I think he's a great coach. Is he going to try and have the Pokes beat you on the ground or the air? It doesn't really matter. I think Stillwater's are going to be rocking and rolling, Sam, and we got a great number so far in our pocket, and I like the Pokes to win this game.
Yeah, I wonder what we do, though. Let's say they rule, because a lot of the people watching right now are obviously followers of the show, and you give bets out on your Twitter feed as well, at CTBet16. What's the plan here if they rule him out? Because a lot of people watching and consuming this content either have +2 or +1.5. If it gets official, I'm saying again, if I'm not saying he's not going to play, I'm saying if he doesn't play, and it goes to 4.5 Pokes favored, do you have a game plan?
Yeah, I was listening to you before, and I completely agree with you. I don't think it goes higher than 4. I think 4 is the ceiling, because I would do exactly what you were talking about. I would come in on Utah +4 as well and have great 2 numbers there, +4 and +2. And then you get to sit back, relax, watch the game and hope for it to land in the middle. That's that's a bettor's dream. That's you dream about having games like that, Sam. So that's my game plan. I don't think it gets that high. We'll see. He's a big factor to this Utah Utes game, or Utah Utes team. I want to give Zach Wilson's younger brother the utmost respect. He came out and he played a great game. You and I were on the dog. We still got the cover, but he looked all right out there.
That was way too close for comfort. The worst thing is when you get the info and you still have to sweat. It's never easy. You get the quarterback out. You get it on Tuesday. You bet 21.5. You bet 21. They take an early lead, and then Utah is trying to score that touchdown to get over all the numbers. And I'm at the Houston Rice game in Houston, just watching the game on my phone, like having the worst time of my life sweating this game. But this is the life we chose, right, buddy? I want to ask you about a game very close to your heart. And Chris Thurston with us on Chicken Dinner, big Baylor guy. And, you and I share notes a lot early in the week, and we exchange, quarterbacks that we're trying to figure out who's going to play, who's not going to play. And, the guy that made my list was the game in Boulder, 357, 358, Baylor, Colorado. Let me pull up the board right now. My one-man band here. Apologies for the slowness, but you got this right here where Baylor opens 1 and Colorado swings to the favorite. Not a big move through 0, obviously, but 1.5 Pinnacle, 1.5 South Point. You got 2s at Circa and Superbook. It's not going to get much higher because I know guys will come in and take 3 with Baylor. But I don't know Baylor like you know Baylor, and you basically got me to this pick. One of my one of my plays here, taking the 2 with Baylor. I thought Finn was going to be cleared and be the guy. You're thinking he could get cleared but not play, and Robertson might be better for this team. Explain.
Yeah, I talked to my guys. I obviously went to grad school down there. I have a couple of beat writer friends down there still, and they say it looks like Sawyer, even though Daquan looks like he could get cleared. Aranda feels more comfortable with Sawyer under center, and we kind of saw that last week, Sam. I know it was 3-3 against Air Force with like 2-3 minutes left in the first half. I was out to dinner with my wife for my anniversary. I looked at the score. I was like, oh, my God. And I saw the highlights, and I saw Aranda laced into them and obviously got to them and got right through to Robertson because they outscored Air Force 25-0 in the second half. And he stepped up in a big way, Sammy. And I think I'm a lot more comfortable with him under center than Finn. This isn't the MAC anymore, Daquan. So take a seat. Sawyer could actually throw the ball, sit on the sidelines, and maybe you shouldn't have left the MAC, okay? This is the Big 12. This is big-time football here, Sammy. And I'm not sure if you saw it, Sammy, but there's a true sophomore running back, Bryson Washington, okay? He's like this freakish athlete. He's got some fullback in him, some tailback in him, speed, power. He plays the game aggressively. He's literally a coach's dream. He's a huge boy. He's one of those guys that the coach says, go run over the linebacker and then cruise by the safety into the end zone, and he will. So he averaged 8.8 yards last week in a breakout game. Watch out for him. You know, I know Baylor returned a ton of starters last year, which really isn't saying much, right? We all know they sucked last year, but looks like Aranda has them going in the right direction. And I think they're going to give Dion a nice little warm welcome to the Big 12. So we grabbed the points here early, Sam, you and I, and they're going to win this game outright here in Boulder.
All right. So you like the points with Baylor. You like the quarterback better. Those are games that we are on the same page with, but we don't handicap every game together. What else are you digging? Give me something else, maybe a play or two that you and I maybe aren't on the same page with, or, you know, because we all do our own thing. We do our own handicapping, make our own numbers. We're both on the Pokes. We're both on Baylor. What else?
Well, I heard you guys, you and Nadu were talking about the Arizona State Texas Tech game, right? And he said that one, I think his mush liked the over. I'm not involved in the total, but as you know, Joey McGuire is the head coach for Texas Tech, and I know Joe personally. He was a longtime assistant at Baylor, and he was a legendary high school Texas coach, Sam, before he went to Baylor and then off to coach the Red Raiders. And I keep going against this Sun Devils team, Sammy, and I keep getting burned. Last week, Sammy, I had Texas State +2. It goes off Texas State -3. We're up 21-7 at the break, and they lose by 3. Sun Devils get some lucky bounces, benefits from some turnovers, and they beat Texas State by 3, and I'm getting 2. So I lose there, but I think we see this Texas team get the job done versus Dillingham Saturday in Lubbock. Tech, you know, they had that bad loss to Washington State to start. They respond last week. They throttled North Texas. Joey McGuire, he's going to have the Red Raiders to play. I like the way that Morton looked pulling the trigger last week. Taj Brooks, the running back, he was back. He's running like the wind. Big help, shot in the arm there, 4 TDs. I'm still not sold on Levitt, the quarterback for the Sun Devils. Big 12 home opener for Joey, and we'll play on the Raiders, and we'll lay the short number here. Texas Tech, -2.5, -3.
CT bets, the Bear in the Big 12. Although it's not really the Big 12 anymore. I'm sorry. It's just not, with all the teams that have come and gone. We got a couple minutes left, and then we'll get to Corbie and Gary. But I notice over your right shoulder, I love this. Now, people are probably wondering, what is that chicken scratch on the board? Those are NFL teams on holidays for Survivor, right?
That's correct. That's for
so
certain.
You just don't forget? Like, they're going to be up there all year?
All year. I need to look at that every single week, because when you're going to pick your team, Sam, as you know, you want to hold as many holiday teams as possible. You have to have a couple different options for Thanksgiving and the Christmas games. You don't want to just have, I'm going to take the Cowboys on Thanksgiving no matter what, because one, we saw what happened a couple of years ago. The Giants beat them in Dallas in Jerry World as double-digit dogs. And then 2, what if Dak goes down and you're stuck with the backup? You want to have a couple different options here. So that stays on the whiteboard so I could take a look at it hopefully each week as it's going on, because as you know, there's not many people left in Circa right now, and it's only week 3.
I know I'm getting to that point, and I talked about this on the morning show today. I'm getting to that point where if I get to week 7 or 8 and they offer me like 150,000 or 200,000, I might take it, man. I'm sorry. I'd take 200,000. I know people don't want to hear that, but I would take, if I went in with 1,000. Well, Matt Lyden and I have 2 entries. Yeah. If we went in with 2,000 and could leave with 200 and split it, I'm sorry, I would take it. But that's just me. Before we let you go, you got what Viva are you working with right now?
This is the newest flavor.
The coconut.
Oh, the coconut. With this one, just released it in Boston. And Sammy, we got to get together. I haven't seen you in a little while. I got some for your house. It's absolutely delicious. You gave me the coconut when we were watching Miami kill Florida. That's right. I did. See that? My CT memory shot.
I'm going to pour one more of these. We're going to bring on Corbie and Gary. But you and I were texting about, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk some smack. We're going to talk about the games we like, attack this Utah-Oklahoma State game. But then you and I have so many stories because we've had other hobbies in the past, put it that way. We've maybe passed out some envelopes here or there back in the day. And I was trying to decide what my favorite story was, like my favorite collection story. And you got the one with the debit card. Is that still your favorite?
Yeah, that was a good one. We had a kid, right, that owed some money to us, and he goes on vacation apparently, and he hasn't getting back to us for weeks after weeks, and he says he got into a car accident. Okay, so I'm like, all right, I feel bad for the guy. I hope you're all right. Is everything okay? Oh, yep, everything's all right, but I got some bills to pay and whatnot. I'm like, all right, yeah, no problem, man. Get back to me in a week or two. Oh, a few more weeks go by, Sam, and then he finally responds. I'm like, I just want some communication here. And he says, oh, I'm sorry. I was in Aruba on vacation, and I can't pay you still now because I left my debit card in Aruba. So he went from getting into a car accident, having no money, can't access any funds, having to pay his bills. Then he's in Aruba on vacation, leaves the debit card down in the island, Sam. And the rest is history.
Oh my God. It's so funny because you have the car accident, which already in itself, probably isn't true.
Right.
And then he's got the money to go to Aruba, but not to settle up. And then he left the car. God forbid you lose your debit card. You go to the bank and get a new one.
It's pretty simple. It's this is 2022, 2021 when it happened. I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, with the Venmo, PayPal is what it is. You hear them all these days, as you know, pal.
Oh man, one more time. The host of Double Down. Let me pop this on the screen here. Stand by for the switch. We got to show our guys some love for coming on the show. This is it, the Double Down show. Chris Thurston, that's him on the left, if you couldn't tell. And that is Kelly in Vegas. Weekly on Thursdays, sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzer. You can follow at Double Down KIVCT. Let's get these pokes home, buddy. I would love a pokes winner. That would make me very happy this weekend.
Yeah, me and you both. I have them pretty big, as you know, over 7.5 wins for the total this year. It's my biggest win total that I played. I've hit the last 4 of my biggest play in a row. So this will be a nice one. This is a big one here Saturday. I think it's 4:00 Eastern, big guy. So I'm sure we'll be texting all throughout the game. Let's get this one.
I appreciate you. I'm going to just do one when everybody leaves. That coconut Viva. I don't even like coconut, and I think it's a tremendous drink. Corbie Craig joining us now. What do you got? What are you drinking this week?
Sammy, I'm an easy guy. You go back last week, I got the same thing twice. So, give me a Bullet Diet Pepsi. It's the easiest route I could go. Aviva does look good, though. I'm going to have to, I might have to put me on there.
CT, he comes on last week. I'm drinking a seltzer, and he goes, well, you got that girly drink. And I'm like, Jesus, right out of the gate, like bang, bang. So that's why I had to go with the
to my defense
today.
To my defense, Sammy's always a Jack guy, and I'm always the seltzer guy. So I was drinking seltzer. I sent Sammy a picture earlier. I was drinking a seltzer just a little bit ago. I was having a good time in the pool. Came to enjoy some chicken dinner, though.
Awesome.
CT, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Sammy, thanks for having me. Good luck to you guys the rest of the week. Cheers, guys.
That's Chris Thurston at CTBets16. And I see our guy, Gary Segars, strapping in the mic. There he
Oh,
is.
boy.
The velvety
boy.
tones of
Yo,
a
got
Gary
me.
Segars.
Can you
Let this
hear
guy
me?
in.
Are we good? Can you hear me? Is everything working now? Ugh.
You sound great. You sound like a DJ from 1970. Can you do me a solid before I
Check,
introduce
check,
you guys?
check.
Can you just say, you are listening to Chicken Dinner? Can you give me one of those, please?
100%. You are listening to Chicken Dinner.
Oh, so
Oh,
good.
great.
So good. It's such a velvety voice.
Look at
That's
that
Gary
drink.
Segars.
What is that thing? Bring it back.
What is it?
Right here. So,
Oh, we got one. Okay.
yeah,
Well, I can't.
King Snake from
Jesus.
Lynchburg,
Jesus.
Tennessee. I think it is. I
Ooh.
think that's where it is. So yeah. It's just bourbon and water. My typical. If you were at Bet Bash, everybody knows what I was drinking.
Gary was not only drinking them, he was buying them for everybody. So everybody's just sitting there and like, we're all drinking the same thing. And Gary's just doling out bourbons, which was outstanding. Gary kept trying to get me to do this interview. And it's not that I didn't want to do it. I was just like having so much fun and I was embarrassed to go on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
no,
couldn't.
no, I understand.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like, Gary, next time we
Wanna
could
do
do it
it?
next time. I will get you on Chicken Dinner. And then next time in Vegas, maybe we can do something in the morning. Gary is of Bet
By
US
the way, let me
TV.
interrupt you. I have to call you out because you were in with your swim attire. Everybody else is dressed up for these panels, everything else, and you have got swim shorts and like the
That sounds
Hawaiian
about
shirt
right.
going on. I mean, it was fantastic. So I immediately became a fan of you right off the bat.
Well, that's on the heels of. Well, first of all, correct. I did have the Donkey Kong T-shirt with the very nice swim trunks. But the day before, I was hosting the show with Roxy, which will be on Chicken Dinner, I believe, next week. The whole video episode with Roxy. He comes out with the Rick Pitino white suit and the red spats. So I'm like, all right, I got to go sky blue suit. So I had a suit on Wednesday for our one-on-one. And then to Gary's point, the next day, everybody was dressed up and I had shades and trunks on.
You ready for these?
I was definitely ready. So before we do anything else, let me welcome our guest officially, Gary Segars, Bet US TV, and the host of Winning Cures Everything. We'll show some of their content in just a little bit. And Corbie was on last week from Get Better Odds. And Corbie, you were very nails with that total in Utah State. And I think, you brought up a point about getting information and being able to wait. Unfortunately, some of us weren't able to wait long on, the Cam Rising thing that could possibly happen this week. But you said last week with Rising out and with Wilson in, the freshman, they were probably going to push the ball more. So, the market's coming down with Cam Rising out. And it was like 46.5, 47, comes down to 43. And you're just buying as much 43 as you can. And you completely nailed. I mean, what did Utah score? 38?
Yep.
Well, 38. But look, let me answer for Corbie. It certainly helped that Utah was giving up 6 yards of play. I mean, who would have expected that out of a Winningham defense, right? So I think it was a throwaway game, right? It was just, all right, we're going to try a few things out. And if you watch what they did, they tried out different plays. They were running different things in that game, and the defense did not look buttoned up whatsoever. I expect a completely different performance this week.
I think it's an interesting dynamic we have here, us three, because I talked to both of you enough about sports. When I wanted the over, I texted Gary, and when I wanted the information, I texted Sammy. It's a weird dichotomy we have going on, because I do agree. Like last week, I was king over. I took the 45, I took the 44, I took the 43, I took 42.5. Told Gary every single time that I wanted it, I took it. This week, though the same situation may occur, like I think it's the exact opposite. Like I took the under 54.5, told you in the group chat, Sammy, like though in theory, like it would be the exact same situation. Like they would have a quarterback that's going to need to play fast to do anything. Now they're playing an actual team. Like at some point you start to say like, hey, we don't need to play fast. We need to play efficient. And how do we do that as a Utah team who historically plays slow? I think you play efficient. So Cam Rising's situation here is completely different than it was last week. The Rising last week was, we're going to play for 3 quarters. We're going to get up 42-0. We're going to end the game 42-0. This week, I mean, I took the pokes. So I took the under. I took the pokes. I think that should kind of tell you. Also, I'm curious, Sammy. And it's a weird. Stuckey posted earlier that Cam Rising is questionable this week for an abdominal injury.
And he was no. He wasn't saying.
Wasn't that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
Okay, might have been. I was sent it.
Corbie.
I was sent it.
Yeah,
If-
Corbie's always late in the week. He is going through information like, okay, I saw this. He's saying that Cam Rising has already been listed as questionable with an ab injury in 2027 for a game
I do agree.
that
When
was
he's
just
a-
for 2
when
years
he's-
from now. So
when he's 1 year removed from football and a insurance salesman after his 11th year. I do agree. No, I saw that and I was like, we're not even close to this. We're not even close to the same information. I think his ab's fine.
like, no, it's not abdominal. It's hand.
Corbie is so good with the numbers and the information, but I don't think Corbie sometimes know how to tie his shoes. I think there's a
This is
big
true.
disconnect there. Like he's so good at so many things, but like, can he tie his shoes? I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, it's all this
We're-
information flowing at the same time, right? It's all right. We gotta make sure we stay on top of stuff. What's real? What's not? What are you hearing from? I mean, because to Corbie's credit, like he took Oklahoma State plus 2.5. I think that's what you got. I mean, but that thing's been back and forth, bouncing around all week ever since Monday. So it's you could have gotten Oklahoma State plus 2.5. You can get them minus 2.5. Same thing with Utah. You can get a 3 every now and then, but it lasts for about 20 minutes and then it's gone, right? So the information is key, especially in a position like this where they're going on the road in Stillwater.
Let me share something real quick. I'm going to bring the screen up because this is pretty noticeable right now. They're betting against Notre Dame right now, right this second. And I'm curious, Gary, because Notre Dame scores 1 million points last week and everybody's like, oh, maybe they are good. But we're watching this right here on this top line, 393, 394. They came in at circa. They took 28 down to 27. Superbook's off the 28. Buckeye is down to 27. So this is a live move right now. I'm not even saying that I agree with it, but they are coming in on a Thursday night at 7:57 Eastern, and they are blasting Miami, Ohio. You got any thoughts on that one?
Low total, big spread. I mean, it's very typical movement, right? Especially now, it's a little strange seeing Notre Dame come off of a massive beatdown of Purdue last week. But I just don't think you're going to see a ton of possessions. I don't think Notre Dame's going to throw the ball a lot. I mean, I probably would have taken the under more so than Miami. But Miami can't score. Like I don't expect them to be able to do anything in this game offensively. So I don't know. I'd probably stay away from that one. I'm a little surprised that it's steaming the way it is. But yeah, I see a few 27s. Bet Online still has 28. Who else have we got? Pinnacle still 28. Yeah, but that plus 102. I don't know about the spread. I don't believe in Miami of Ohio's offense right now. They put up 6 points on Northwestern. Like, what are they going to do against Notre Dame? Right.
Fair. Corbie, what about you? What are your numbers on that one?
Yeah, I'm at 24. The issue here and the reason it's steaming is Brett Gabbert was not announced out, but it was definitely a toss-up. Just guessing by this line movement. I'm trying to check on Twitter, but you're not going to find the information fast enough. You definitely have to know somebody at Miami, Ohio. Just a full guess of this movement is Brett Gabbert's playing. I think he got hurt at the end of the game last game. Wasn't really it wasn't noted, but it was definitely on the notes of some sharp groups. Injury reports. Been trying to look for it all week. That steam, I would assume, means that Gabbert's in. I make with Gabbert in 24 point. Wait, where's this at? 20. Ooh, Notre Dame. There we go. 24-4 and total of 41. So I do agree. Slightly under, slightly in Miami, Ohio. I don't think it's the biggest edge in the world. I'm not really the biggest fan of Riley Leonard.
Well, that's the thing.
I
I
could
don't
be
think they're going to throw it much, right?
I could be convinced that they're not going to try to even cover this. If Brett Gabbert's in, we saw him versus that was Miami opening game last year. They had no chance of that game. Miami pushed the line as easy as they want. I believe I'm correct on this. It was Miami. But Brett Gabbert was still throwing. I would assume his average depth of target, and this is fully a guess, was at least 20 yards. Like he was trying to actively score Hail Mary points. So maybe it's a scheme thing. Would lean the dog, would lean the under. I didn't bet either side of these. I do have an injury thing for you. If we want to talk injuries, this is as public as possible. It's kind of the same thing as BYU last week, Sammy. We talked BYU last week, the over with 2 running backs out, 3 running backs out. And I thought, Jesus, there is absolutely no way this stays under. And it wasn't even close. I think it was 34 at halftime. We had over 39. You go to the game, and you know how I like it. I just like the worst games. You go to Indiana, who's been a darling, playing Charlotte.
Oh,
Charlotte,
boy.
QB1, QB1 out. QB2 out. QB3, who in DM conversations, I got convinced by somebody is good. Do not believe that. He's awful. He's a walk-on QB3. He threw 10 interceptions, 4 touchdowns last year. He had 33 carries for negative 90 yards, Sammy. He is trash. Trexler Ivy. He's not good. You want to know how bad he is? They don't have a QB4. They bring in wide receiver 3. He's QB2 this week. So now let's think of a situation. You're Charlotte. You have a coach who almost lost Gardner Webb. You got crushed by James Madison. You got crushed by North Carolina. What is the best thing you could possibly do? The best thing you could possibly do is save face. If you lose by 24 to Indiana, great. I don't think Charlotte scores a single point. I took the Charlotte team total under 9.5. I would play the under 4. I think you can get a 49. You can get a 49.5 now.
Yep.
Play the under 49.5. I don't think Charlotte scores a point. Indiana has shown the want to score 50. Do they care to here? I'm not fully convinced, but I truly think that Charlotte runs the ball and then they hold the ball for 40 seconds. They call a hike again. They run the ball for 1 more yard and then they hold the ball for 40 seconds again. So given 9 possessions, do we think that Indiana could score 56? I don't. I took the under. I would take the Charlotte team total under 9.5. I mean, if they throw the ball, it's a losing proposition. Ivy can't throw the ball. I think the under is a great play here. Now, the 28.5 spread is a very, very interesting one. This could easily end 35-7. But I don't know how to get to 50.
So let me hop in here. Ivy went 11 out of 12 passing last week for 142.
Don't fall for that. Who did they play?
And came back again. Now, it was Gardner Webb.
All right.
I'm with you. But Indiana has got Maryland at home next week. You know, what do they want to do here? I'm with you on the under for sure, but I'm skeptical that Ivy can't do anything. I don't think he's just complete trash. But he's,
toss him in the barn. He's
last week. Like, all right.
Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
I like this under 49. I didn't wake up this morning and think I was going to bet the Charlotte, Indiana total, but the market clearly agrees with you. Ooh, there's a big notification there. Kelsey Mitchell will not return for the Indiana Fever tonight. Very, very important notification there, obviously. The market, 48.5 at Chris, coming down 48.5 at Bet Online. So they're agreeing with you so far. Open 50.5.
Corby mentions it.
Agreed.
All of a sudden the lines are moving. Unbelievable.
I think it's good to 47. That 49 obviously would be really important. If I could get a 49, I would enjoy that.
Gary, take us through some of the bets, maybe a couple that you like this weekend. We got looks like 17 minutes until Thursday Night Football, which, a reminder, it is on Amazon Prime. Don't be flipping through your cable or your whatever. You need Amazon Prime to watch this game. And we have 2,200 people watching Chicken Dinner live. So we appreciate you more than you know.
Hoodie.
So awesome.
Big
I think it
hoodie.
was Gary's voice. I mean, Gary said, welcome, or you are listening to Chicken Dinner, and 800 people joined instantaneously.
100%.
What do you got, Seagars? What do you like? You got a play or two that you want to share with us?
Yeah. So I gave out a few on the BetUS show this week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern time live. We have a good time over there. And look, let's talk about the two big ones, right? USC at Michigan. What am I missing? I feel like I have been taken to another world where people just don't want to believe their eyeballs. I know it's Miller Moss's first, road game. I get that, true road game as a starter. But USC is vastly superior to Michigan, unless they have just completely decided we were not going to show Alex Orji for anything in the non-conference, and we're going to bring him in. Unless there's just nothing that we've seen out of these guys, USC 5.5, 6. I feel like this is a no-brainer. We thought the same thing with Texas, right? We saw line movement towards Michigan in that one. I feel like we're going through the exact same thing. If you don't think that Michigan could be that bad, just look at Tallahassee, right? It's the same thing. Florida State was 12-0 last year, and they brought in pieces and they're going to be fine, and et cetera, et cetera. Look, they lost at home to Memphis. They lost at home to Boston College. And that's not to say that those aren't good teams. They're perfectly fine. But I mean, I think USC is a really, really good team. So I gave out USC -6. You can still get 5.5 out there at several different spots. So I feel good about that one. What are we doing on Tennessee? Like, do we think that Venables is this defensive genius and Danny Stutzman is just going to be the Cain to the Abel of Nico, right? I think what they're doing on offense is they've got every piece that they have wanted for Josh Heupel, and he has all the motivation in the world to run it up in Norman. So I kind of lean Tennessee, but man, I hate the numbers. I don't know why the books are not coming off the 7s. I've seen a few 7.5s. Corby, what are you thinking on that Tennessee game? Like Tennessee, Oklahoma is. I mean, you see some of these. Ben Fowkes had put out. What did he put? Like 84% of the bets, and most of these books are on Tennessee, and they're still sticking on that 7.
What's the total in Tennessee?
Oh God, it's
like 56.5. It was. I don't have it in front of me right now. Give me 2 seconds. It is 57.5 at a couple shops right now.
Yeah.
Let's call it 58 open down to 56.5. Okay, so it's actually coming down relative to where it opened.
Yeah, wrong way in my opinion. 2 things. I'm glad that these are the 2 major games we talk about because, as y'all know, I bet the stinkiest stuff I can get. I actually have a bet on the first, and I have an opinion on the second. The first would be the Michigan game. I bet the over 43.5. You can still get that. From an eyeball standpoint, I agree with Gary. I think that the Michigan situation's tough. It's kind of like why Sammy bet them versus Texas. Like, I think at some point when there's so much turnover, especially in a college sport, it's tough to adjust your priors. Like, so you go look at my number for this game. I make this 3. I would not bet Michigan. I don't trust my 3, but what I do trust is my over, which I make 51. And now if you take out the issue is like, how do you price in Alex Orji? You have no clue. You have no clue what he's going to do, but you know that like they're 127th in the nation in tempo. Orji can't hurt that. The only thing that he can do is maybe hurt efficiency. Like, let's say he hurts efficiency. What do you want to make Michigan? Like 80th in efficiency? You make them 80th. I'm still at 47.5 here. So going through the key 44, 45, 47, I'll take an over there. I really honestly, I'm not really that worried about that game. I think USC, I really like Miller Moss. So feel fine with the 43. I think the more speculative game, and I agree with you, Gary, is this Tennessee game. I'm at exactly 7-0-0, which is crazy to think about. From an eyeball standpoint, I fully disagree. I think Tennessee, as a Tide fan, I know Gary loves the Tide.
oh yeah,
I'm terrified of this team. Like, I think Tennessee is really good.
oh yeah.
But the only thing that I will say, and the only reason I think that models will struggle with this game, and the reason that maybe it's not falling off a 7 where you can get a pretty good price and market towards the side or the over, is Oklahoma did this weird thing, like with helmet comms happened to a few teams. But if you go look, Oklahoma ran tempo their first game. They played Houston. They tried to see like what low tempo would be like. I think we're at like 31, 32 seconds of play. They just kind of feel it out. If you saw the Houston game, they probably should have lost. And then they've sped back up. You take out all fourth quarters. I mean, I think Oklahoma is a fast team, and the market probably thinks they're slow because of one game they played slow and fourth quarters they play slow. But it's not actual real. I think they're probably closer to like 30th in the nation in tempo, which would make this game like 61. It's still slim. But I would lean towards an over, lean towards Tennessee. I think there's points. And it's crazy to think about. Like, we're in a day and age that we see an Oklahoma game and we don't think points. Like, this is getting steamed under. My entire life, we've seen Oklahoma be like, all right, it's going to be a shootout here, boys. And now we're like, oh, Oklahoma wants to play to 16 points. I just don't think it's real. I think this Oklahoma team's much faster than market gives them credit for.
Well, I took 7, so I could look very, very dumb on Saturday. Maybe not as dumb as when I took Michigan plus 7.5 against Texas. That was pretty dumb. The quarterback, they finally benched him, though. They needed to get his ass out of there, Davis Warren. So they go to Orji now. That's going to be interesting. We know Michigan's going to just try and run the ball 50 times if they can and really test the toughness of the USC defense. But I think you made a good point, Corbie, because, a lot of the power ratings that I get and that I compare notes with, most of them are sub 7 on Tennessee, Oklahoma. Like, they make the game 4.5, they make the game 5. And the eye test is very scary. because that team could literally kill Oklahoma. And then you also have, as you know, Gary, you have the angle with Heupel wanting to run it up, if possible, against Oklahoma, a team he won a national championship with and a team that he got fired by. So there's the incentive. If they get up, there is no limit on what he could do.
You're 100% right. Like they could absolutely just drive a nail into that place, especially if they get up early. Because Oklahoma, I mean, number 117 PPA per pass right now, and it's not like they've played a tough schedule. Current strength of schedule I've got for them right now is 100. Now Tennessee's played the number 122 schedule, but I've got 3 different models that I use. Okay, I've got a pure power rating, which I've got Tennessee just on a neutral by 10.5. So it would depend on how much you give Oklahoma for home field, right? So if you do 3.5, then I would have it at 7, right? So right on the number. My just stats based model that is quote unquote weighted for opponent strength, it's got Tennessee by 30. I mean,
no, well, that can't possibly be right.
So no.
Or maybe it is
early in the year. Now, I will say I had Tennessee with this model favored by 31 against NC State, and I said that something is off. So, but there's a lot of variance early in the season, so it makes sense. Power rating plus stats, I've got it at 19 for Tennessee. So I mean, this thing it's very volatile this time of year where you're trying to figure these teams out. I've noticed this. I don't know if you guys noticed this with college football, especially in the last few years. More coaches are using the non-conference part of their schedule as just like a preseason. They're just trying stuff out. Missouri is a big, big proponent of this because Kirby Moore and Eli Drinkwitz, they don't run anything near the same stuff that they run in conference as they do in non-conference. They're just trying stuff out in non-con. Like they're not getting guys hurt. They're running the ball. They're just throwing anything against the wall that they can against teams that they know that they can beat. Part of me wonders if Oklahoma has been doing some of the same stuff because their offense, I mean, it's atrocious. It's number 116 in offensive success rate. At the press conference on Tuesday, Venables came out. George Stoya put this out. He said Venables essentially says they have to figure out how to establish the run on offense. That has been the holdup for the offense, he believes. Says they need to turn 5-yard runs into 20-yard plus runs. Says that will open up the vertical passing game. I don't like this offensive line right now for Oklahoma. Now, maybe they're hiding stuff. Maybe they're doing something different. But against James Pierce and that front 7 for Tennessee, I don't get it. Jackson Arnold hadn't looked comfortable all year anyway. And now you're going up against the team that is number 7 in havoc created. I feel like Tennessee is the right side, but man, the books being on the opposite side, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not here. Maybe something is way off here, and I'm just not seeing it. But I felt the same way about Texas and Michigan, and I thought, it's Michigan, right? I gotta stay on that Michigan side. Texas going up there, who knows? But every intuition that I had was right about that game, and I went the wrong way. And I feel like if I go Oklahoma here, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing because we have seen what this Heupel offense can do with Sampson and Bishop running the ball. I mean, they are lights out, absolutely lights out. You want to hit some other games?
I got like 5 minutes before kickoff. I feel like we could do this for another hour. I got to show the chat some love here. We got to talk about Colin Sheehan coming in and saying shots. I love that.
If we had time, I would.
How about it? Should do another one. David Fink comes in and says, I finally made it for a live show. He put that in at 7:10.
Shout out, David.
Shout out, David. We got JD who says LFG. You know what that stands for. My buddy Rob with a whiskey emoji, a box emoji, and I believe that is a tiger emoji.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't know which tigers we're putting in the box. Brewhand Luke, smash the like button. Ryan Welchel, that chicken is dangerous, and he's talking about this chicken, of course, the very famous chicken dinner whiskey decanter. Jake Harbert's Nadu with the Bosco fade. I also kind of like fading Bosco. We got Mike who comes in and says, bah! And Joe McManus with an evening, gentlemen. Let's go, Pokes. I do want to put a ribbon on this. I showed these guys work. Corbie from Get Better Odds and Gary from Winning Cures Everything. Gary gave us his favorite plays. Corbie, you want to just rip through real quick?
Yep,
Rapid fire your favorite bet or two?
The unfortunate part for you is you're not letting me go until I crank. All right, here we go. We're gonna go fast. We'll go smash or pass. All right, smash or pass. The SMU TCU over 58. Do you guys think that Preston Stone was the better quarterback? I think him coming out after the first series tells me they wanted to get rid of him. They had a bye week. This is a smash for me. I bet the over 58.
I would smash. I like the over 58. I think the offensive line is the issue for Rhett Lashley, and Kevin Jennings helps that some.
Smash.
Agreed. All right. That's 3 smashes. That's a chicken dinner exclusive. There you go. All right. Next, Colorado Baylor. This number I bet over 52. It is down to 50.5. The reason being these just experts, these Wednesday sharp gurus who can bet 5,000 on Chris. They saw that. Oh, damn it. There's going to be rain at 7 p.m. in Boulder. 4 points to the under. 4 points to the under. You're telling me you don't think these college kids have ever played in rain before? Give me the over 50.5. Baylor, Colorado. We know what Colorado wants to do. They want to sling the ball every single play. We also know what they want to do. Not play defense. Over 50.5, over 52.5. I took both of them. All right. Now the final one. The reason,
by the way,
pass. That's crazy.
Yeah, I might pass that one. So here's the only reason behind that. I don't know who's going to play quarterback for Baylor. Is it going to be Finn or is it going to be Robertson?
Robertson.
We think it's Robertson, Gary. We think it's Sawyer Robertson. Yep.
It is Robertson.
So at that point, I still feel like they're going to go fast. Maybe it should be over. You know what? Don't listen to me on this one.
At 52.5, I think that you make a fair assessment to 50.5, crazy for a Colorado game. In my opinion,
Sure.
Also. The final one, and I had to leave this best for last, Sammy. Back-to-back weeks, I'm going to talk about BYU. Last week, I talked about BYU. Running back 1, running back 2, out. They throw the ball 36 times a season high, and they look great. 34-14 versus Wyoming. Sick. So good, dude. I think us 3 could almost beat Wyoming. We would lose. We don't have the defensive safeties, but we would be close. Gary, I've seen Gary play fullback. He's got it. Now they see Kansas State. You're telling me this team who doesn't have running back 1, who doesn't have running back 2, is going to go play a Kansas State team who is good, who has seen a really good defensive line in Tulsa, has seen Arizona, and they're going to just throw the ball? Their leading rusher was their quarterback. The second leading rusher had 4 attempts. They're only going to throw the ball. They're not – I don't see it a frame in which Kansas State doesn't win this game. And you can get a 6.5. Obviously, it's going to be tough to cover, but I do think it happens over probably 55% of the time. I feel really good about this number. I took 6.5. You can get a 6. Fair number was 6.5. I took the Kansas State 6.5. It's my favorite bet of the weekend. I feel great there. I know Parker took it on the Bet US show. Great show. I think the Tulane defensive line is so underrated, and yet they were a 9.5 point dog. They're not worse than BYU, and BYU is 6.5 here.
That's true. So you got the over what, 47.5? Is that?
No, I took Kansas State minus 6.5.
Oh, you're taking Kansas State. So Parker's all in on that. I do kind of like the over in that one as well because I've got it 51. Well. So, but that would make sense. BYU throwing the ball around, right?
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they don't have I have it at 49. So I have this at 13 and 49. So I don't ever take sides, and when I do, hopefully they're good. I don't know.
You know me. I love sides. Sides. I feel I'm a little iffy on the Kansas State thing because I don't trust that secondary, and if BYU is flinging that thing,
quarterback's not good. Don't fall
volatility.
For it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen everybody talk about it. He beat Wyoming, and he looked kind of bad versus SMU. SMU can't stop
he did look,
the cold. Yeah. So I like Kansas State, and I'm way too confident in the things that I say, as you can tell. Also,
I love
I'm not even going to talk about the fact that my little subtitle, Sammy, check right here.
Yeah.
You going to change this? Come on.
I can't read it. I'm blind. It's so small on my screen. What's it say?
Yeah. It says Sammy's long lost son.
Oh. Well, hold on. I think we need to put this to bed with this final comment here. I believe this is from Corbie's actual account. It says, Corbie is Rain Man.
That's not me.
From Better
Scott.
Odds. Aren't you the boss at
Scott,
Better
come
Odds?
here. Yeah, he's in the other room. He probably hears me talking to you. He's like,
oh, okay.
Let me guess, guy.
So that wasn't you that typed in Corbie is Rain Man in the chat.
No, it wasn't me, but I do have something to say because of that. Shohei Ohtani, baseball, 50-50 tonight. Shout out Shohei Ohtani. I got a signed bet. If anybody wants it, I'll put a price on it. I had to wait for the 50-50. Now we got it, Sammy.
All right, guys. That's Gary Seagars and Corbie Craig. Please follow our guys. We could probably do this until 10 o'clock at night. And 2,400 people watching Chicken Dinner 003 live. Thank you so much. Gary, Corbie, I'm going to bring this thing home. Thank you, guys. You're always
Appreciate
welcome.
you having me.
And in fashion, I will cheers you both. Good luck this weekend. And maybe the boys need the pokes more than they're willing to admit. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Go Pokes.
All right, guys. That's Corbie and Gary, two awesome dudes. Obviously, do their homework, know their stuff in college football. So that about does it. The NFL game is basically underway right now. I have no idea what the score is, but I know the bartender is on the Jets -6. One more quick order of business. This is where if you appreciate what we're doing, this is all free. This is for you. We want you to win. I wanted to share just a quick screen grab of the Chicken Dinner YouTube page. If you like what we're doing, I just started it. It feels like a week ago. I'm not very good at YouTube, but I'm trying to grow it. There we go. At betchickendinner. You can follow and get all the videos we do, the live shows on Thursday night, the weekly segments with Kenny White, John Murray, Adam Chernoff. And one more time, wanted to give you my picks for this week. 12-7 on the year. Pretty good. Don't think I can sustain 63% being realistic, but I hope that we can keep making money and getting you in the right position. So Oklahoma State +1.5, tweeted out last night. North Carolina -10.5. These guys scared me, but it is what it is. I'm going to bet my numbers. Took Oklahoma +7. If they lose by 35, it is what it is. Baylor +2, Vikings +2, Ravens -1, Cardinals +3, and the Commanders +7.5. Really appreciate you all. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean, you watching me right now on a Thursday night with anything you can do, and you're spending it with us. So that is just so awesome. Thank you for checking in, and we will see you next Thursday. I will figure out the guests for that specific program, but you guys are a lot of fun, and we appreciate all you do, and that's about it. So we will see you next time right here on Chicken Dinner.